Now, the elections into sports federations in Nigeria will go on as scheduled next week. This is because the House of Representatives has dismissed a petition against the Ministry of Sports and the Minister, Solomon Dalong, by some sports federations for dissolving their boards ahead of elections. The Ministry of Sports had supervised the dissolution of the boards of all the sports federations ahead of the election scheduled to hold on the 13th of June. But 11 of the federations had petitioned the House of Representatives, alleging the ministry dissolve the boards prior to the expiration of their tenure. But appearing before the Committee on Sports at the House after he was summoned on Wednesday, the minister has defended the action. And, well, it's a very tough call there. And joining me to discuss this issue of the elections and, of course, the Super Eagles is a sports presenter with Sports Radio, Brila 88.9 FM. Chidozie Okroji Overdose. It's good to have you on the sports segment of Breakfast Show.
Always a pleasure, Solomon. Good to be here, as always. And,
let me ask you, the elections.
Okay.
There's been the question about whether the minister had the right to dissolve the board or the boards.
You know, that's why he's the sports minister. I mean, for Barrister Solomon Dalong coming out to dissolve. First off, I do remember that he came out to say any president who had served 2 tenures before now had no right to compete. And I ruled out some of the presidents, the likes of Abu Gumel, the likes of Sanin Danusa, Yusuf Dauda of handball. But then the House of Representatives came in and then they said, okay, you know what, he had no right. But then this only goes to show that he is the #1 man in charge when it comes to sports. And whether you like it or not, federations have the right to really toe the line when it comes to conducting a free and fair election. I think for me personally, what the minister did was the right thing, because you look at the sporting federations, apart from football, which other federation or what other sporting federations have that grip, you know, that aura to really push themselves forward. And you look at the fact that these presidents, most of them have been there for a long time. So for Solomon Dalong coming on to say, okay, you know what, this is how it wanted to go, and now the House of Committee have thrown it away. It really goes to show that he wants a free and fair election. Talking about Dalong, he wants a free and fair election. He wants an election that is conducted, and on the 13th, it will go down. So I expect that everything will be done according to the books.
Well, the Football Federation will not be part of this election, but
yes,
everybody is looking at the Athletics Federation of Nigeria, where sport journalist Kayode Thomas is contesting Enefia Kutobong, 2000 Olympic gold medalist for Nigeria. Henry Amike is still in the battle. Rosa Collins, triple jump champion for Africa. These people are contesting for the presidency. Then you have Fidelis Gazama, Ibrahim Gusau. If you look at these candidates, who are the people who do you think stands the best chance?
For me, I think Rosa Collins has really been talking. When you look at her CV, she's really been advocating that, you know what, it's time for us to take care of the welfare of athletes. That has been one thing that has really not come to the fore when you talk about athletics. Solomon Ogba, the outgone president, he really tried his best in making sure that, yes, he, of course, attended to the welfare. But then, every other athlete was just like they were under the shadows of Blessing Okagbari. She was like the only shining light. But I'm happy now because Rosa Collins has mapped a way forward, and she has somebody assisting her who is running for vice president in Mary Onyali Omagbemi, you know, who's really been there. She's done that. She knows the field when it comes to athletics. Also, Brownie Bewele, who also was voted as the coach's representative into the board, the forthcoming board of the election. So when you look at all this, it only goes to show that for athletics, they want a new face and a board that, #1, takes care of athletes, #2, can be able to make sure that these athletes are up to speed and up to terms with what's on ground. Because when you look at athletics, for God's sake, Jamaicans, the US, we go to international competitions, they always best us, and it's really painful. So this is a board that really wants to get it right, and I believe they will, because most of the people running have been there, so they know the field better.
All right, away from athletics and elections now, it's football this weekend. Super Eagles against the Bafana. And the South Africans have been doing a lot of talking. And this is the first time I have seen that the Eagles are not doing so much talking. The last time out in Uyo, they stopped Nigeria, a 2-2 draw, even though they have never defeated Nigeria in a competitive game.
Sure.
Do you think that the South Africans are really a threat against these untested players in the Super Eagles, I would say?
You know, for me, what really is going to be the bane in South Africa getting results is the timing of the appointment of the coach, Stuart Baxter. You know, Ephraim Shakes Mashaba really didn't have it good with some top SAFA officials. He was sacked. But you look at Stuart Baxter, this will be his first major test. And bearing in mind that the Super Eagles have been playing wonderful friendly games under Gennett Roy, you have to give it to him. I mean, this was a man who before now many thought will not be able to, you know, get the team rolling. But he's been able to live out the likes of Odion Judy Gallo, John Obi Mikel Brown Ideye, settling for the Olarinwaju Coyotes, the Tyrone Ebuegis, even Henry Nyekuru, who scored 24 goals for Kassupen in, of course, the Belgian Jubilee League this past season. So when you look at all of that, I think for me personally, we have a team that can beat South Africa. Forget the fact that they just named the Bidvest captain, Tyson, as the full captain, who was a makeshift captain under Mashaba. Stuart Baxter knows he has his hands full. And the last time out they came here, yes, they played a 2-2 draw, but then it was after we won the Nations Cup, and it wasn't a steady ship at that time. Players, you know, not really gelling together. But right now, after the 1-0 draw against Corsica and then the 3-0 win over Togo, I believe that the Super Eagles have come to stay. I believe they will get a good result on Saturday.
I don't think there's anything for me to add. Again, you've had it from our man there, Chidozie Okoroji. They call him the Overdose, giving us everything.